Welcome to the clinical cookout. Cookout.
Society would have us to believe that discrimination against black children is a myth. It is not. It is the lived experience of too many, if not all, black children. In the 2015-2016 school year, black boys made up 8% of public school enrollment, but they were 25% of the boys suspended out of school. Black girls were 8% of enrollment, but 14% of the girls suspended out of school. While black children are overrepresented in practices that exclude or remove students from school, white children are underrepresented. Such data are clear evidence that racism and bias often drive exclusionary practices, and to ignore this is to preserve the status quo. If numbers aren't enough to show that discrimination exists in American classrooms, studies have shown that black children do not misbehave more than their white peers, but rather they are punished more. In fact, black students are more likely than their white peers to receive a disciplinary action for a discretionary offense like talking back, violating a dress code, or being defiant. Black children are also more likely to be suspended out of school for their first offense. Society would also have us believe that discipline disparities are a result of poverty, arguing that experiencing childhood trauma and living in distressed communities are to blame. But poverty cannot explain away the discipline disparities. Studies have shown that when taking a student's economic background into account, black children are still more likely to be suspended than students of other races. And let us not forget that poverty, too, is a result of deliberate policy choices that leave black children isolated in neighborhoods with little resources, including the longstanding impact of discriminatory housing policies such as redlining. What constitutes madness in public schools? Madness denotes a kind of dysfunction and disorder. Unfortunately, in popular culture, we attribute madness to the individual rather than their environment. But black children, especially those who live in poverty, experience frenzied madness in public schools in the United States. This madness occurs from a continued reliance on referring and placing poor black children into remedial education. What constitutes unhappy places for black children? An unhappy place constitutes an unsupportive and alienating environment. It is the look right through me feeling many black children experience. These children may feel unsafe and experience decline in their sense of belonging. Black children begin to feel unhappy when public school systems devalue their culture. They receive continuous messages about their failure, and they experience continuous punishment for behaviors associated with trauma. Unhappiness occurs for many black children who experience alienation when schools force them to dissociate from their language, accept white middle-class social norms, and disavow their contributions to American history. It occurs for many gifted black children when they encounter discrimination on a daily basis in advanced courses. It occurs for other black children when statewide academic performance measures reinforce perceptions of their intellectual inferiority. Unhappiness occurs for many black children who experience criminalization that diminishes their positive identity. The implicit bias and behavioral expectations from teachers, school personnel, and school resource officers about black children alter their perception and make them more likely to use attributes such as disrespect, oppositional, and threatening to describe the behavior of black children. Schools are also more apt to assign an ADHD diagnosis to black children, when in fact they may be suffering from post-traumatic stress or race-based traumatic stress. When black children dwell on associated negative emotions, it interferes with their ability to concentrate and academic performance, leading to disengagement and dissociation. Suspension of students over hair and physical assaults against their bodies is a symptom of a larger pattern of viewing black people as less worthy, less attractive, and less viable members of school communities unless they accommodate to standards of self-presentation which require them to change who they are. And sadly, parents can be complicit in harsh punishment because the schools prey on their fears. The American school system is designed to sort children out, especially children of color and the poor, and leave many uneducated. Schools are also designed to control, suppress, and damage children's self-esteem so they won't grow up to raise resistance against the power structure. From policing children's hair to paddling to the criminalization of normal adolescent behaviors, schools have devolved into intimidation zones where Black children, especially, are being scrutinized from the moment they enter the classroom. And this is how racial trauma shows up for our Black children. It shows up early and it is lifelong. So for Black children, attending school is an act of racial justice.